Okay, so we need to have a serious talk. Over the past several years, I've been building out my credit card setup, maximizing value on my everyday spending, and getting a lot of sign-up bonuses along the way. But I've noticed a big problem with my credit card setup, and it's time to make a change. And this is going to fundamentally change my core credit card setup that I thought I'd keep forever, but it turns out I'm not. The main issue is that, as we all know, sign-up bonuses are the best way to get the most value out of credit cards, and so I've been focusing on these over the past several years. My credit card application velocity is not too fast, but not too slow either, getting around 3 to 4 cards every year specifically for the sign-up bonus. But as I'm completing these sign-up bonuses, the majority of my spend ends up going onto these cards in order to meet the minimum spend requirements. And what ends up happening is that the cards that I originally set as my core credit cards in my setup all get neglected. And if those cards are no annual fee cards, then that's fine, but if they're cards that have annual fees, this presents a problem. So with that in mind, let's talk about what needs to be done. My core credit card setup specifically for my everyday expenses consists of the following cards: the American Express Gold Card, the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card, and the Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Card. And here are the annual fees on each card and how I use each card in my setup. Briefly, the American Express Gold Card gets me 4x membership rewards points back on restaurants and 4x membership rewards points back on groceries. The Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card gets me 3.5x back on dining where Amex is not accepted, 3.5x back on travel, and 2.625x back on everything else. And the Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Card gets me 5.25% cash back on gas and 3.5% cash back at Costco. But if I have a card that I'm working on for a sign-up bonus, this card will be used for everything, and the other cards will go relatively unused. And so looking at the annual fees without factoring statement credits, I'm spending close to $800 in annual fees on cards that I'm barely even using for everyday spending. So that's the main issue, but what's the best solution for this problem? I recently made a video about the best trifecta you've never heard of, and so if you haven't seen that video yet, I highly recommend you check it out after this one. But I think that the strategy I outlined in that video is the direction I want to go. I noticed that my regular everyday spending is done using a mobile wallet, and that I use Apple Pay for almost all of my grocery, gas, and even some of my restaurant purchases as well. So is there a way for me to consolidate my credit cards into a simpler setup that has lower annual fees, but still gives me a great return on spend on my everyday purchases? It turns out that, yes, there is. Looking back at my core credit card setup, the Amex Gold Card and the Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Card are the cards that cover groceries, gas, and restaurants. And the card that would also cover these categories using the mobile wallet category would be the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card. And this card will be great for my setup because it gets me 3x points back on mobile wallet spending. Also, another important category that you get with this card is 3x points back on travel purchases, which also includes transit. So this category will also cover the category that was previously covered by the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card. Now, if we take a look at the multipliers I'm replacing, here's what that would look like. I used to get 4x membership rewards points back on groceries, 4x membership rewards points back at restaurants, 5.25% cash back on gas, and 3.5x Bank of America points back on travel. And I'm replacing all those multipliers in those categories with 3x US Bank points back. But assuming I redeem these points in the best way possible using the Altitude Reserve card, I could get way more than that. I can redeem these points for travel using the Altitude Rewards Center or by using real-time rewards and get a 1.5 cent per point redemption, bringing all of those earnings from 3.5x up to 4.5x back on a single card. And of course, US Bank does not offer any transfer partners, but I have to be honest with myself, and I just don't do a lot of international travel. But when I do, I already have a large bank of Amex membership rewards points to redeem for that aspirational business class redemption. And since I travel domestically very frequently, this type of setup would be much easier for me to get value on a regular basis. So just like I was using the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card for when Amex was not accepted, I also need to cover the exceptions on this setup when mobile wallets may not be accepted at restaurants. This would occur when, for example, you're dining out at a sit-down place and they bring you the check, not on a mobile wallet terminal, but actually in a binder with the receipt. And so you'd have to use your physical credit card to pay. And so this next card is going to cover that situation, but conveniently, it's also a card that I've wanted to get for a while now, and that is the Bilt MasterCard. Now, everyone talks about this card mainly because it can get you 1x points back on rent, but I'd be using this card primarily for restaurants, but I'd also be taking advantage of that 1x rent category as well. And this mindset is important because to ultimately earn points on this card anyways, it needs to be used at least 5 times per month. And if I'm using this card for dining out, then this is going to help with meeting this requirement since I do eat out fairly often, definitely more than 5 times per month. And what's great about this card is that you get these multipliers plus a lot of other great benefits for no annual fee, including transfer partners such as American Airlines and World of Hyatt. And so now that we've covered that exception, the last category that needs to be covered is going to be the everything else category. And this is where we're going to bring everything full circle from the problem that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Because I frequently get credit cards for the sign-up bonus, the third card in my setup will be this sign-up bonus card and will now have a permanent slot in my core credit card setup. And that is super exciting to me because now I can have a more simplified setup that makes those sign-up bonus cards just as important as my other core credit cards as it should be. Of course, there may be times where I'm not working on a sign-up bonus, and for those situations, I'd slot in the Blue Business Plus card for that catch-all category that gets me 2x membership rewards points back for no annual fee. Just note that there's a spending cap on this 2x multiplier of $50,000 per year, but I highly doubt I'll ever come even close to that limit. Now, I don't have this card right now, but I do have both the American Express Business Platinum card as well as the American Express Business Gold card. And when those cards come up for renewal, I plan to product change one or both of these cards down to the Blue Business Plus to have access to that catch-all category as well as a safety net for my membership rewards points. So let's now take a look at this setup as a whole. The US Bank Altitude Reserve card gets 3x points back on mobile wallet spending, which for me covers grocery, gas, and some restaurants, as well as 3x points back on travel. And since we're going to maximize the redemption side by redeeming for travel using the Altitude Reward Center or real-time rewards, we end up getting a total of 4.5x points back on these categories. Now this card will have an annual fee of $400, but with an easy-to-use $325 annual credit for eligible travel purchases, as well as dining, takeout, and restaurant delivery purchases, the true effective annual fee on this card will be $75. Next, I'll be using the Built MasterCard for 3x points back on restaurants, specifically those dine-in restaurants that require a physical card, as well as 1x points back on rent. And this card has a lot more benefits that I won't cover in this video, but I think that this is a great option, especially because this card has no annual fee. And the final card in my new credit card setup will be whatever sign-up bonus card I'm working on to cover that catch-all category. But whenever I'm not working on a sign-up bonus, I'll be using the American Express Blue Business Plus card, which gets me 2x membership rewards points back for no annual fee. Now this all sounds great on paper, but I still have to figure out how I'm going to make this transition, so we have to develop a plan for that as well. This entire strategy completely depends on getting approved for the US Bank Altitude Reserve card, and US Bank is one of those banks that can be very difficult when it comes to approvals. There used to be a rule that you had to have a US Bank checking account to even be considered for the Altitude Reserve card. But from recent data points, it looks like this requirement has been dropped. But coming from Bank of America, I know how important a good banking relationship can be in terms of credit card approvals. So last month, I opened a US Bank checking account while there was a $300 opening bonus, as well as a 7-month CD at 4.8% APY, so I could be at least in the primary tier of their Smart Rewards program. Now, was that all necessary? I don't know, but I'd like to maximize my chances of getting approved for this credit card, and this certainly is not going to hurt. Another issue is that US Bank tends to be very inquiry and new account sensitive when it comes to approvals for their credit cards, and I'm sure this is even more so for the Altitude Reserve card. And looking at my credit report, in a few months, I don't think I'll ever be in a better position to apply for the US Bank Altitude Reserve card since I've been heavily gardening for Chase 524. Recently, I applied for the American Express Business Gold card, and I'm currently working on that sign-up bonus, which is to earn 100,000 membership rewards points after spending $10,000 in the first 6 months, or by November 2023 in my case. I expect to finish the sign-up bonus before then, probably around October, and at that point, here's what my relevant stats will be. In terms of new accounts, I'll have 0 new accounts in the last 6 months, 0 new accounts in the last 12 months, and 4 accounts in the last 24 months. In terms of hard pulls, I'll have 2 hard pulls on Experian, 1 hard pull on TransUnion, and no hard pulls on Equifax, with all hard pulls being over 1 year old. So with no recent credit activity or new accounts over the past 12 months on my credit report, this puts me in a great position to successfully apply for the Altitude Reserve card, so that's when I think I'm going to go for it. But one other issue that may come up is that I have a lot of credit cards from other issuers already, and that may be a problem, so we'll see. I really hope that I get approved for this card, and of course, when that time comes, I'll definitely bring you guys along for the journey. One other thing I want to cover is what's going to happen to my existing Bank of America cards. I still have access to my Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite credit card until early next year, and at that time, if I'm able to get the US Bank Altitude Reserve card, I'll likely downgrade that card to another customized cash rewards card. And that would leave me with 2 of these cards, which presents some very interesting options. I could use both cards to get 5.25% cashback on online shopping, which, to my knowledge, is an industry-leading cashback multiplier for this category, provided that you are at the Platinum Honors tier with Bank of America. By having 2 of these cards, this elevates my spending cap on this category to $5,000 every quarter, which is much more flexible than just the $2,500 cap on one of these cards. On the other hand, I could just keep one of these cards as a gas card and continue to get 5.25% cashback on that category and use the other card for online shopping or for another category altogether. I'd also like to get the Premium Rewards card as well, but I'm not sure if that would be a card that I would keep long term. Now, will I leave Bank of America as a bank itself? Well, no, I've had nothing but good experiences, and I hope that this continues, but I'm really excited by this potential opportunity that I have to redo my core credit card setup for the better. It all comes down to US Bank and if they want to accept me for this card. And if not, I'll just take the L and move on, because like I said before, I'll never have as good of an opportunity to apply for this card than I will in the next few months. And so what do you think of this new credit card setup? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you haven't seen my video diving into this trifecta in more detail, check out this video next.